It said, Jesus, how do you celebrate my birthday? It's humans. Oh, we created a fat man and lied to children about him so that they would behave. Jesus, okay. How about the day that I died? Do you celebrate that? Oh yeah, we call that Good Friday. Like, okay. And what about the day that I resurrected? Like, oh yeah, Big Bunny.
You ever been to a magic show, a talent show, perhaps a variety show, Phil?
Oh, I've been to a few illusionists.
The variety show always got me because you could bring anything to the table. There was no rhyme or reason to it. It's just whatever you're good at. And so today's episode is going to be our version of a variety show. There's no real topic. We're just going to share things that we're seeing and hearing and doing all over the place. And we'll try and keep it concise and in flow like we normally do and just make it very conversational.
America Ain't Got Talent?
That's right. It's the success flow, untalented, unanimous, anonymous, whatever you want to call it.
I dig it. Yeah. I mean, there's just so much, which is part of the problem, the amount of stuff coming our way, but that I get interested in or find as nuggets you don't want to do a full episode on, but these are good every now and then just to say what's been popping up, maybe even some pop culture, and things that are helping us.
There's just so much constantly coming. I feel like every week is something new. Like I'll look at my calendar and it never pans out exactly like what I see on Monday. By the time I get to Friday, it's totally different on how I envision the week to go. Like it's really challenging to, like, you can't predict that stuff. Personal, professional, all sorts of things. Like just on a personal note, my son changed his club baseball team in the last couple of weeks. And that was just like if anyone listening has kids in club sports, there's a cost to it. So you have to make, try and make the best decision for your kid. And then you develop relationships with the coaches and you develop friends with other families and all that stuff. And so, Jack was on the same team for almost 3 years, but he was starting to get to the point where he was falling out of love of baseball because it just kind of wasn't working the way he wanted it to work. And it just was, we're like, oh shit, like we got to make a move here. And so we did, made a move to a new team. He had his first tournament last weekend and all smiles, everything came back. It was super awesome to see. He's never been more energized, wants to get in the gym and work out with these guys, wants to get on the field and work out with these guys. And so, that was like the highlight of our personal life in the last couple of weeks of like navigating the waters of club baseball and trying to figure out how to make sure he's put in a spot to be successful, which is not only do we do that for our kids, but we do it for our teams and do that in our businesses as well. It's like, how do we put people in spots to be successful for them to thrive? And so those are some of the things that I always like to do, especially in my business. And I created this year the quarterly business snapshot. I don't think I told you this. So we've been tracking for over 12 months. We do a quarterly bonus for the team. And there's metrics tied to it, KPIs, whether it's getting positive reviews from clients or it's upselling a product or whatever. And so we track these metrics. So we have all this data for the last year. And so then in our year-end planning, or not year-end planning, but new year planning, let's say in December-ish, November-ish, going into this year, we wanted to build out some entrepreneurship insight. We really want to take ownership of teaching entrepreneurship to our team members to where they take ownership of their role, of their book. And it's no longer I don't know really where I am or where I fit or what I do. And it's not ambiguous. And you have a snapshot insight into your book of business, whether it's revenue supported from a specialist role or it's revenue generated from a sales role, or it's revenue activated from an implementation role. So those are kind of the three. But there's all these metrics that we have data on. And so I built a 2-page snapshot and it goes through client statistics. It goes through the financial impact, like what they earned in that quarter. So wages, bonuses, health benefit, things like that. Right. And then there's key financial insights that we record, like quarterly revenue, annualized revenue per client, percentage of overall clients supported across the whole business. And then we track lost clients also. So it's a snapshot into their role. So if you support 200 clients, it's giving you a snapshot into those 200 clients. Now it's not a performance review. It's purely insight into your book of business. So it gives people ownership into their role. So like my entire business, I do this every quarter. How are we doing? What's our retention metrics at? What's our revenue metrics at? So we're teaching this so that way our team can take an entrepreneurship and ownership over their role. And then quarter over quarter, we're going to see how the metrics change. And so this insight, we gave the first one 3 months ago, and we're already through Q1, which is absolutely wild. I still feel like we're at year end. But I'm working on what Q1 work. That's currently what I'm doing right now, is building out these snapshots and these insights for the team. And then we present them and they read them and then they go through, and then it gives them ideas on what to focus on, what's working well, what do you need to pick up on. But it tracks things like net retention revenue. So it looks like trailing 12 months, what's grown, what hasn't. It tracks business efficiency. So how much are they getting paid versus how much they're supporting. And so there's this whole metric, and it explains all of that to them. And my teams found it like super insightful. It's working really well. And they're like understanding, oh, this is the impact that I have, because now I can see what my book of business is doing. And I don't want, if this happens, then this metric is going to drop, or if this happens, that's going to. And so it's a really cool thing, because it's really identifying who is bought in and who isn't. And so these quarterly business snapshots are a new thing we're working on this year, and I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome. Bringing that structure to kind of look at where we came from, but put the KPIs, which have been a strong theme for you and I this year, for that, not just the business as a whole, but for those individuals. And we've been doing those for a long time. Call them QBRs.
Yeah.
Backwards looking and then forward looking planning is huge. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. The feedback I got was like, team was like, I don't know anyone that's doing like, they've never worked for anybody who is doing something like this. We're really sharing the insight into their role and treating it like a business. Like, if you own this book, like you are an owner of this business, you want to see these metrics at these levels. And so we're teaching and educating that entrepreneurship mindset for team members, and calling it the entrepreneurship summary, the business snapshot. So it's been a lot of fun to put together, for sure.
Love it.
What are you working on?
Going into this year, we've kind of talked about it. I've been putting a ton of focus. I mean, as it should be now, as it's always been, but it's really been pretty laser focused with horse blinders for the most part on, the day job. And Q1's in the books, and I'm happy with the performance. Talking about what you just went through, that's going well, and I'm focused on the future. But I think from a personal aspect, and where this episode kind of came from, it's been like back to an audit all of Q1 about time spent and, where my mind's at. That's the kind of the constant thing, right? And going down a couple different rabbit holes of a couple of things I put together, just observations recently, the signal versus noise, and my relationship with social media. We have this podcast, and we have, a desire to stay in touch with others. But I've been in this season of like deleting Instagram entirely off my phone, and then I re-download it when I use it. And so that happens still more frequent than I like. Like, I haven't put enough friction on the re-download to where I actually have to put my password in, but it's not even having that on the phone. And going back to grayscale in the evenings has been noticeable. Like, it's just noticeable across the board with sleep and checking it out. On that same note, it's been trying to curate my feed as I found other subject matter experts that I want to follow that are really having a positive impact on the learning and research I'm doing in my spare time. And I just have noticed the things that I've seen that do sneak into your feed with the amount of travel that I did in Q1, which is honestly too much. Speaking of an audit, the airport stuff that's been coming across, one of the things I wanted to kind of just note, it's such a great example with the amount of travel that we had, and I had a little bit more than Paula. I got so many messages from people, especially the last 2 months, of how was the airport? How was Sky Harbor? How was, or even the other airport with colleagues. Everyone's, well, how was security? How was TSA? And it was just like, every time I was like, fine. Like, I saw all the stuff too. And it was like, how much is timing, right? Timing's everything. We understand that the airport's busier and slower at certain times. Maybe it's just lucky, but I had a lot of travel, as I'm saying. And just the amount of, you could just sense it in the text. Like maybe there's travel coming up. Maybe people are canceling travel.
There's concern. Yeah.
And this most recent trip, shout out to Seattle last week. And the only interesting part was there was no problem with the lines, but it was like, if I had to put a number on it, 60, 70% ICE agents that were running all of TSA. And that was interesting. And that's like, it was something to call out. It was interesting and strange. So maybe they're offsetting it there. But my whole message is just taking a look at this signal versus noise and what's actually real. And how does it affect you? If you need to travel, you want to travel, go do it. And, plan accordingly or adjust accordingly. But it's just had me taken aback on, and the amount of artificial intelligence on the feed. It's really just got me more back to where we started this podcast, creation over consumption, and driving that back as a theme in all areas of life.
I actually find if I'm jumping on there, if I'm consuming something, it's usually to find some sort of inspiration or topic or something to learn about or talk about. Like you set your algorithm the right way if you're looking at the right stuff, and you're just fed with, whatever it is that you're.
Oh, it still comes in. I love to think it's that way, but I went down. I think I sent it to you, this rabbit hole on this professional
from Jake. He just DMs us all this stuff all the time.
shout out
to Jake.
This one just snuck into my feed. I think I shot it, or maybe that was it. But it was like super fascinating about how Phil Ivey took a couple foreign casinos for $12 million.
Really?
Did it to ran this gamut.
Poker player. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was playing Baccarat, and it was like he made this request, a formal request to go in for a specific deck of cards, and had a system, said it needed a Cantonese translator, and they ran away with cleaned out two casinos, or a total of like 18 million. And what he got it from one casino, they wired it. This is what the guy said, you always take cash, but traveling with that much cash, no one does it. The one didn't send a wire, and then he sued them. And this all came out in the process of suing them for the wire. The foul play was at hand. The other casino got involved and said, he did the same thing to us. And anyway, it was fascinating. Was that a good use of my time? I was just like, I hadn't heard of the detail of how good the content was. I just went down a rabbit hole. That took me like 18 minutes, 20 minutes out of my evening. And I was just like, and then I had to send it to a few people, and then I'm part of the problem.
Well, I have noticed.
I digress.
For listeners, we are on Instagram at Successful Podcast, and I do tag Phil in those clips that we put up there, and he doesn't always accept to be a collaborator. I can't tell if it's because he doesn't like looking at himself on camera, or
that's part of it.
If his Instagram is deleted that week. But
I share them. We get good call out.
It's good though. It's refreshing to like, okay, what are the things that I'm doing that don't serve me? And we talk about it all the time. It's like, just eliminate those,
Yeah.
But there is a piece of you. I saw this one video, and it actually reminded me very much of, the devil and the angel on the shoulder. Is like, it was kind of a funny video of this guy who running a 5K or half marathon, whatever, one day, and then the next day sitting in his car smoking a cigarette and drinking beers. And he's like, I'm just trying to keep my body on its toes. Like, I can't figure out which identity I want to move forward with. And he had like 4 or 5 clips of that, of back and forth. And sometimes, like, I don't smoke anymore, but I feel like it's like every once in a while, you feel like, I just want to eat like crap today, and then tomorrow I want to get in the gym, so it's just a weird dynamic at times, especially like knowing that you're human. You just have to give yourself grace and know that as long as you're on the plan I'm on, is the maintenance plan. I just want to be able to stay strong, stay fit, stay, healthy long enough to be able to run around on the basketball court with my grandkids when they're teenagers. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the goal. I'm not trying to get jacked. I'm not trying to, if that happens, maybe I get decide to do that in 5 years, whatever. But life is there's just so much, and it's just not a priority for me right now. But I thought that video was hilarious. Back and forth.
And it's back to, like, again, the boring thing that no one wants to hear is its consistency. And the other one that, like, being snappy, little snappy cliche quote I heard, like, it's not about being extraordinary. It's about doing the ordinary extra. And I was like, yeah, that's good. It's like the basics. It's the basics just regularly, and it's boring. And I'm good. I'm I'm good with that.
It's funny you say doing the ordinary and the boring. So I told you that I started, dolphin podcasting, right? And I hired the kids and I'm teaching them how to help, helping other small businesses launch their own podcasts. And I'm teaching my kids how to edit and like manage a business. And like I'm teaching them entrepreneurship and all that. Well, I hired them and they're underage. It's a sole proprietorship. So they're tax-free. Their income's tax-free. And all of their wages go towards a Roth IRA. And so it's a tax-free account and yada, yada. I bring this up because the IRA, like I manage, it's a custodian. So custodial. So I manage it until they're, I think it's 21 years old in Arizona, or maybe 18. I can't remember, but I'll manage it for the next 5 to 7 years. And I'm putting it in super boring, ordinary ETFs, VOO, VX or VSUX, like some international stock stuff, some micro, medium-sized business, some small micro cap type companies, whatever. So it's like very boring portfolio type stuff that you're supposed to do. So I'm doing a little challenge with myself because I've got my fun money brokerage account and it's roughly now about the same amount. Like I don't keep a lot in that account. It's just more of like, it's almost like to someone's sports gambling. Mine is options trading on the stock market. It's never been a real big money maker for me, but it's a lot of fun to kind of learn about these companies and see if, I'm going to do this for the next 5 years. I'm going to put all their Roth money into these ordinary, boring stocks. I'm just going to invest the same amount every month buying the same ETFs. And then I'm going to invest into my brokerage account the same amount. And I'm going to see if I can beat them. And I guarantee you, I probably won't be able to. They'll probably outperform anything that I try and do or get creative with, because there is a ton of money that you can make in options, but you can lose it all versus just having funds invested. So is it the tortoise and the hare type of thing? So it was funny that you brought up boring and ordinary, because that's what you're supposed to do in investing. And right now, with everything that's going on with the Iran war and the oil prices skyrocketing, like the market's dipped, and it's like now is probably a good time to buy. Like Buffett always said, stock market has nothing really to do with the companies that you're investing in. It has to do everything with people and behavior. So when people are freaking out and they're selling everything, you've got to go the opposite and just buy. And when everyone's comfortable and carefree and the stock market's going up, that's when you just chill out and just wait for the next opportunity. But I'm going to see, that's my little challenge. I'm going to do that internally and see if I can beat them. But I bet you they'll end up having more in their accounts than I will.
I love this. We are jumping around totally not the flow I thought, but it's a
variety show. Phil.
Back to this I love it. And back to what you said about the angel and the devil on the shoulder. Also, want to call out, we are neither financial advisors nor doctors. We don't play them on TV. This is just our variety show for a couple things that are going to come out in this episode, but that's our disclaimer. We're covered. Back to the angel and the devil. I have to call out and jump into some pop culture news clickbait. Speaking of that, I didn't avoid. Just dwelling on and thinking through self-sabotage at the highest levels and talking about tremendous work ethic, tremendous discipline, focus, and performance, and then just letting that escapism jump in. And two of my favorite athletes, one probably my favorite athlete of all time, Tiger Woods, is back in the headlines for not great reasons, and along with Puka Nacua, who's in the middle of signing the biggest contract in the NFL for a wide receiver, and is in the both are checked into rehab, working on themselves. And it's just like, I have zero judgment about it. Everyone is quick to throw it out there, get it together. We put these people on pedestals and that they're not human. Tiger's, this isn't the first time for him. And Puka's super young, but it's like, these are humans. And just seeing it happen right at such a critical moment. Tiger's expected to, appear at the Masters. That's now not happening. He's focusing on his health. And is that timing have anything to do with it? I would guess so. I don't know. Puka, you're right in the middle of this big contract. Is this, it screams self-sabotage at the highest level for me. And it was just like thinking about these two guys and the situations they're in. It's like, they're just scales to all of this angel and devil on your shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a bummer to hear about Tiger. It's like almost identical to what happened, 9 years ago, something like that. I was looking forward to seeing him in the Masters. I know he was prepping for that. And the Puka thing, to me, that sounds like every other run-of-the-mill 25-year-old. He just so happens to be a top wide receiver in the NFL making millions of dollars. But the Tiger thing seems like a deeper, bigger, ongoing issue, right? Because it just keeps happening. And, you know, you kind of feel for the guy, but at the same time, it's like, hopefully he's getting the help that he needs. It happens so often. I mean, even lesser known names, you know, you think of like the Lamar Odoms from the Laker days and how he fell off after, you know, you think of Delonte West, you know, he was a good basketball player, NBA player, played with LeBron and that whole wild story. And he's, you know, he was homeless for a long time. There was video surfacing about that. Like, and you just wonder like how you're at the peak, man. Like it doesn't always mean that money is the answer. And I think that's what it proves. Like you can sabotage, doesn't matter where you're at in life. You can sabotage whatever it is that you have. But I wonder if there's something to that. Like you just lose the drive and the purpose because you do have access to everything. You know, I wonder if
it's a tale as old as time, right? Like these examples, the infinite examples of this.
Yeah. I feel like that's the scariest thing is like, we all strive for success, whatever that means for you. But if it's money and power and all this stuff, like I feel like once you get it, you just lose sense of self. And then, you know, for a lot of people, they just kind of, it's not as meaningful anymore. It's always been about the journey to getting there or whatever that cliche is. Right. But I think if you redefine success as joy and happiness, and if that doesn't mean, you know, flying private jets everywhere you go, and it means just back to ordinary, maybe ordinary life is what brings you the most joy.
Getting your bag checked by ICE agents. Yeah.
Yeah. There's always something like, you know, politics aside, like we won't get into that, but there's always something every single year that happens. Like it always happens. And to the point where, you know, how much does it, everything is temporary. It seems like no matter where you're at and like, no matter what happens, everything seems to be temporary. And now I know there's situations people are in and it makes things really, really difficult. But yeah, like my mother-in-law is at the airport and it's the same, seems to be a similar day today as it was 6 months ago. Like it's not like the big shift and like, yeah, there's heavier crowds at certain points of the hours and the days, whatever. But like for the most part, it's not too far out of the ordinary. And it's like, but you hear this stuff and it's like, well, what's right around the corner? Like, what are we hiding? Like, I don't know. I think you just continue down the mission, man. Like just continue focusing on what you can control and don't let so much of what you hear and see affect you, because more often than not, it's probably not even true or at the level that you think it really is.
Absolutely. And it's like, again, we said probably one of the most things I say on this podcast, easier said than done, but this is where stoicism always comes back. And as people are coming to look for any guidance or be a sounding board, it's like, what can you control and what do you want? And mapping those two together is where it happens. And saying no and taking control of the mind that controls the body and our actions to do exactly what aligns to those things. And that's back to consistency. And we're kind of back on the same track, but it's important and a work in progress.
Okay. Can I change the subject a little bit? And a little embarrassed to tell you this, but we have to,
you can never change the subject.
I'm a little, I'm just going to be open and vulnerable. And I'm just going to tell you that, I binged Netflix the other night and, but it wasn't like just some cool show that you would think. My wife and Kim and I took opposite roles this time, where she went to bed early and I stayed up till almost midnight on a weeknight, binge watching Simon Cowell's next act of him trying to put a boy band together. It was the most insane, stupidest thing. It was 6 hours straight. It was only 6 episodes. I'm not proud of it, but I needed it. It was like a long day work-wise. It was just so much stuff was coming at me. And I was like, I need to just shut down. And so I put this brainless show on. And it actually was really good. Like these guys are like 15 to 18 or like 18 years old or whatever. And they're all from London and Ireland. So it's he's forming this boy band out overseas. And it's like a 6-episode documentary. And these kids are coming in and it's, they're doing their auditions and all this stuff. And they're putting stuff together. It actually wasn't terrible, but it was like exactly what I needed that night. and I haven't done it. It just happened this week. It's like, I just need something to just take my mind off everything. And Simon Cowell got me.
I love that you were vulnerable, and I had this hadn't even crossed my mind.
Don't judge me.
I'm about to give you an example of why I can't judge you. A similar thing happened, but totally different genre. And I think this is what happens, like, when you start going down this work, you can start justifying all of this in media. Like, I just find myself digging for the silver linings or philosophies in it, or what they're trying to, what the subliminal messaging is in it. And a similar thing happened. I think Paul and I were just like scrambling to get something. We had both like logged off. It's like, okay, got dinner set. Like, what are we going to watch? And not search on what to watch. And for some reason it popped on. I didn't realize how many of these there were. This is how much I don't know about 28 Days Later, that franchise. It's a zombie movie. I thought it was 28 Boring Days the whole time. Like, when I've ever heard of people talking about that franchise, I thought it was the Sandra Bullock comedy. And I'm like, oh, this isn't comedic at all. It's like this 28 Days thing. Anyway, we wound up watching the newest one, and it was like, it's so gory. There is way too much full frontal in it. It's obnoxious, like, to the point where we almost turned it off. And we're like, okay, now we got to see where this is going, etc. And like, there were so many messages in it that where I'm like, do you see what they're saying here? Like, this, like, mind is more important than the actual disease itself. And, is this there's some cult leadership in it to how our beliefs guide us and can identify our entire life and make us do really bad things. And I'm like, I'm rolling this all off. And she's like, really, Phil, that's what you got out of this? Anyway, I felt like a worse person after watching it. Like, can't believe I'm consuming this content, or this media. But then it was like, okay, interesting that we had that thought. And now to be determined whether we watch the actual, I think there are 3 more before that one.
Yeah, I felt the same. Like, when I woke up the next day after binge watching, I was like, why am I sitting here thinking that, like, are these guys going to make it? Like, are they going to become a band? How come I haven't heard of them? Like, I don't know who December 10 is. That's the band name they came up with. And I'm like, I've never heard of it. Oh man, poor kids. Like, what are they going to do with their life?
That is so funny.
And they were phenomenal singers. Like, these kids were awesome. But it was just like, oh man, why am I thinking about this on the morning as I'm getting ready, like, the next day? It's just because that's what I was funneling into my brain the night before. But I needed it, man. So, and it was, I don't care if you judge me. I think everyone does it. But that was my moment this week and it sounds like you had a moment this week. Sometimes you just need it, man. Like, you just shut it down and just make sure it's not a habit is all.
Exactly. Bounce back.
Yeah.
I think that's the pod. That was a great variety show. Actually, it was a very random variety show. Listeners, let us know what's on your mind. If there's any content that this has spurred in you or any of the other episodes, we'll be back at you next week with some fun stuff. We're excited for the year to come and appreciate you listening.